This isn't the first episode. All right. This is the prologue. This is the show before the show. I'll explain. Anyway, cue the logo. Back to me. Bit of music. All right. Welcome to not the first show of With a Queen. Anyway, it's a cute hiking hut. This is the last time we get to see it, so you're gonna have to deal with that. Stop being a pain in my hole. Hi. Welcome to not the first show. Like I said, I'm Aric S. Queen. Had I known I was going to start a YouTube show, had I known I was going to have to start a YouTube show, a YouTube channel, I would have done a better job documenting the past 3 months I've spent here in Ireland. I mean, I did a decent job of doing it with the stories, but like really kind of doing a better, highly produced, more organized job of introducing you to where I am right now. So today is just going to be an introduction to Teelin, giving you an overview of how incredible it is, and also the story of how I ended up spending 3 months in a tiny little hut in Ireland's best campsite run by one of my best friends. So we're in Donegal, Ireland. It's way up here. Nobody comes up to Donegal, which is insane. It was already 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, it was named one of the coolest places in the world, but yet it's just not on that tightly packed itinerary that so many tourists kind of have to follow. But Donegal, I have to say something and I'm going to sound like a real Mr. Shitty Pants, and I don't mean to. I've been to Ireland a lot of times, 10, 11, I think. I've seen a lot of Ireland. 3 summers ago, we spent hiking, the circumference basically of the island. So trust me when I tell you, Donegal is the best Ireland. But let me start with the micro and then we can move to the mac. You remember the summer that we hiked the island, right? I ended up in Donegal. I had wanted to see Sliabh Liag, which are supposedly the highest sea cliffs in Europe, 3 times the size of the cliffs or more. And so I found a little campsite at the base of the Sliabh Liag Mountains. It was just a basic campsite, nothing fancy. But the first night I walked into the pub, I met the owner, Kieran, and I just immediately fell for him. Became very, very good friends. I would keep in touch with him. I would watch as his campsite, Sliabh Liag Camping, years later would win the Best Campsite in Ireland award. I was even able to pop in to see him last September, and then I had just finished my yearly summit to Everest Base Camp, and wow, literally just heard myself say that. Talk about Mr. Shitty Pants. It's true. For the past 3 years, I have gone to Everest Base Camp. I could have said that better. Let's try that again. I was just fortunate enough to had finished seeing the marvel that is Everest Base Camp. I was back in Kathmandu the next day. Kieran was in Kathmandu. A day later, he was going up to Everest Base Camp. So we had one day in Kathmandu where we got some beers. We were just able to hang out, talk about the campsite, everything that he had done. And I just told him, I want to spend more time in Donegal someday. And he was like, well, come to the campsite anytime you want. So flash forward to May of this year. I had tried to move back to the US. I had tried to take things seriously. I tried to be able to help my parents out. My father suffers from Parkinson's. So, having an extra pair of hands around the house would have really helped them out. Unfortunately, I had to make the selfish decision to go, which is something I'm still dealing with. So I didn't know where to go, but I needed to go because I was, So I sent Kieran a message and I just said, do you need an extra pair of hands for the summer? And he said, oh my God, yes, we're so flat out, get here. So I showed up with the bike. I showed up at the campsite. I had ordered a tent. I put the tent up. It was a shit tent. Even Kieran every day would walk by and slap the tent saying it's a shit tent. 3 days later, it would break because the weather here, as you can hear outside, is insane. So for a while, I slept in the office just to have someplace dry. Kieran, in the meantime, was secretly turning one of his buildings into one of the parts of one of his buildings here on the campsite into a tiny little hiking hut for me, which has become my favorite thing in the world. I think because I don't have a place of my own, and I'm always transient. And if I do have a room, it's in your house or it's in a hotel or my parents' house. If I do have something on my own, it's a tent. So to have a tiny 8-foot by 8-foot hiking hut that I could come back to every single evening, that I was safe and warm through this weather, or just when I needed solitude to watch a movie or to put on the space heater, that was one of the most special things about this trip, and it will always mean the world to me. And in exchange for being given a hiking hut and food and mini pints down at the pub, I just mowed lawns and I painted. I just kind of did handyman stuff around the campsite, which was really cool. So that's my backstory about how I ended up here. As to Teelin itself, fortunately, this is not going to take long at all because, like I said, it's between 200 and 300 people, depends on the week. We have a Sliabh Liag welcome center. We have the campsite next to that. Next to the campsite, we have a visitor center, not the Sliabh Liag welcome center. We have a visitor center, and we have a pub, the Rusty Mackerel Pub, dangerously close to the campsite. We're talking about 3 minutes walk. But back to Teelin, like I said, 200-300 people, gorgeous area of the world. Donegal is gorgeous. Teelin and the surrounding areas, which if I have time this week, it's a bit hectic because I've got to pack up and get everything ready. But if I have time, I want to introduce you to the little town of Aric, or our big city of Aric, which is just up the road where we do our shopping. The entire coastline is insane. Kilcar, which is just stunning. There's a coastal road out there. My favorite bike ride is to Mallinbag Silverstrand Beach in a place called Glencombe Kill. We'll try to visit that. 3 weeks ago, I went on a road trip with my friend Magdalena. Had I known about this show, I only decided to do the show about 2 weeks ago. Had I known about it, I would have done a better job of filming and documenting the places around Donegal. Hopefully we'll come back and I can do that sometime. Anyway, sorry, that felt rushed, that felt unprepared. I didn't want this to be the first show. It's not the first show. It's the prologue to this is bonus stuff. Okay, it'll get better, more planned out, hopefully less rainy. But the show is going to be about how I got here and the people that I meet. There's a million travel shows out there. I'm sure somebody's done a much better job of Donegal this week than what I've done, but I do want to include my narration and my point of view and talk about the people that make these things possible, as well as the landscape and the beautiful beaches and the soups and whatever. Anyway, sorry this was disjointed. I'm going to go spend this week documenting a little bit of stuff, maybe on the bike, maybe hiking, then also the preparation that goes into getting the bike ready, getting the rider ready for a very, very large trip. Wherever we end up going, almost at around the world. We're not going to say things like that. It's just going to be a really big trip because this is all I have. And then, like I said, my friend Grace comes here in a few days, so we're going to take a camper van. I'm going to show you some of the wild Atlantic way. I will do a better job with that. So that's more soon. If you're still here, I will leave you with some footage I did grab from Donegal. It's not well laid out, but hopefully it gives you an idea. Hopefully it gets you here. Anyway, shut up, Aric. That's not the first show. I'll talk to you real soon.